This is one of the slimmest mechanical keyboards that I've ever tried, and at just 15mm it might be one of the slimmest in the world. This is the Lofree Edge, and I think it's almost a perfect introduction to mechanical keyboards for those using the standard Magic keyboard, or for those with a love of mechanical keyboards that want a low-profile typing experience. But before I tell you more about it, let me give you a bit of context to this episode. Now, my personal desk has been set up the way I want it for a long time now. In fact, I probably owe you an updated desk tour episode because a lot has changed since the last one. But Ryan, an assistant here at the Country Club, his desk is a Frankenstein's monster of tech, featuring all the offcuts and outcasts and hand-me-downs I've used in the past, but I've decided to move on from. So this year I've decided to treat him with some new tech for the desk, to update it and bring it in line, and to fix some of the things that are broken, and to add some things that are missing, like a webcam for example. So I thought I'd kill several birds with one stone here and make some episodes on the tech that I'll be using to update his desk with, and the first thing I wanted to change was the keyboard. He's been using the Keychron K2 ever since I decided to move on from it a few years ago, and in all honesty, it's looking a bit tired, but most annoyingly, it's super loud. This has to be one of the loudest keyboards that I've ever used, and it's a particular distraction when he's mashing the keys whilst I'm trying to write on the other side of the room. Now, I also use this desk myself when I'm gaming. My PS5 is hooked up underneath to the BenQ 4K 120Hz monitor. And this keyboard is that loud that the lads I play Warzone with often complain that I sound like Susan the 1950s typist if I'm script writing or doing emails in between games.
Oh, I hear you're on the quiet keyboard again.
Boys, do you know what I'm going to mention? I've got an episode I've got planned. I'm going to mention this in that episode. And I'm changing to a quieter keyboard, don't worry.
Can you mention how annoyed we are?
I'm going to clip that. I'm hoping now that it's going to... So that was one requirement of a new keyboard. It needs to be smoother and quieter than this. Now, I also wanted a keyboard that was light and portable. Because this keyboard gets used less than the one on my desk, I wanted something that I could quickly yank off the desk, throw it in a bag and take it on the go to use on devices like my iPad. The K2 is far too big and cumbersome for that, so that's the second. And the third prerequisite was that it needed to be mechanical. I've become a massive fan of mechanical keyboards over the recent years. They're just a hell of a lot nicer to use than the OEM Mac keyboards, so this was a must. And this brings me on to my final point. It needed to work with a Mac because we use Apple computers as our editing machines in the studio. Now, this last point is perhaps the most restrictive because there's not much in the way of keyboards that are specifically made for Mac, and even less that are mechanical. This is one of the reasons I got hold of the Keychron K2 when it first came out in the first place. For a time, it was one of the only Mac-specific mechanical keyboards you could buy. But that was several years ago, and since then there's been a number of alternatives pop up. But perhaps the most eye-catching so far for me are offerings from Lofree, especially the new Edge. And that's because it ticks all of the boxes. It's mechanical, it's got Mac keys, it's smooth and quiet, and it's ultra slim. Honestly, its design is nothing short of impressive. This combination of magnesium alloy underneath and the carbon fibre on top, it just makes it one of the most rugged feeling, lightweight keyboards that I've ever used. It's one of those things that you truly have to feel to be able to really appreciate it, but trust me when I say that it feels super solid in its construction, but at the same time, almost weightless. Normally, lightweight products feel flimsy. This, on the other hand, does not. It's just so durable. I get that this combination of material might not be to everyone's style preferences, but I'm genuinely impressed. And I've never tried a keyboard quite like this before in terms of its overall feel. Honestly, when I first opened it, I was blown away. Take a look. This was just the other week. This is a new keyboard from Lofree. I think I'm one of the first to try this. It's very thin. word, that is very thin. Okay, looks like we've got some things. I don't know what those are. I don't know what those are at all. Like a little stand or something. Ooh! Ooh! This one's kind of carbon effect on it. In fact, it is carbon. This is really nice. This feels super durable. This is lovely. Compared to the keyboard that we're currently using on the desk I want to use this for, this is just luxurious. Right, pass me the Keychron keyboard over there. Listen to this. I sound like I'm a typist from the 1940s. Oh, this is so much better. Oh, it's got built-in feet as well. Look at that. Very nice. I still don't know what these bits are for. Funnily enough, I did indeed find out what those pieces of carbon fibre were for, and actually it's a rather clever addition by Lofree with a bit of a hidden secret. As it stands, no pun intended, it's a stand that can be used for pretty much anything you want. You can stand your devices on it, or even stand the keyboard if you wanted to stow and display it, but it's what it's made from which makes it super special. Because it's not just some kind of extra little thing that Lofree have decided to throw in the box to entice buyers. It's actually made from the excess carbon fibre that comes as a result of cutting this top section, or the top plate, for the keys. This is such a good idea because it eliminates waste, provides buyers with a nice carbon fibre stand, and adds extra value to the product. So I think there's a little bit of a round of applause in order here for Lofree for that. It's a great idea, and I'd love to see more brands also making little additions from offcuts and waste materials from the manufacturing process. It's great. And I think it's made even better in Lofree's case because of the fact they've used carbon fibre. It makes the stand out. Thing is, this innovation in design goes much deeper than just the external materials and appearance. It's what they've done on the inside that's quite amazing too. They've shaved down almost every single component of a mechanical keyboard to make this an ultra slim profile. Starting with the switches that they're using. These are a Lofree custom Kali. I have literally no idea how you're supposed to pronounce that word, but I'll go with Kali. Because these KLI switches are just 9.8mm in total, which includes both the connectors at the bottom and the switch on the top. A regular switch is nearly double that at around 18.5mm, so that's an insane reduction in profile. Also, the travel has been shortened to just 2.4mm, again a crazy reduction allowing a slimmer profile. And there's this combination of slimming everything down and lightweight materials that makes this weigh just 485 grams, half the weight of the Keychron K2. Now normally I'd turn my nose up at these reductions. In fact, when I first read those numbers, my sort of knee-jerk expectation was to say that there's no possible way this was going to be a good mechanical keyboard experience. But quite simply, I was very much wrong in that assumption. It still feels like a staple mechanical keyboard experience, albeit much, much thinner. I can't actually believe how good this feels for a keyboard this slim. And as for the switches, they still provide a particularly smooth thock with a delicious creamy feel. And right now I probably sound like an absolute lunatic if all you've ever known is a Mac keyboard, but for those that do have experience of mechanical keyboards, hopefully you'll know exactly what I mean. So for those that want a kind of close-up of the audio experience of the typing, let's do a quick comparison between this and the K2. Here's the old Keychron K2 with blue switches. And now the Lofree Edge. Honestly, the difference is like chalk and cheese. And because the Lofree is at least 1 million times smoother, it's going to make a hell of a lot less god-awful clicking sound whilst I'm on headset with the Warzone squad, and hopefully hopefully I'll be able to avoid being called Susan the 1950s typist from now on. Now, this is largely a plug-and-play device. It can connect either via Bluetooth or via the wired USB-C connection, but it should work out of the box without problems. And if you wanted to, you can download the Lofree config app, which gives you access to a few things such as remapping the keys. On some of their other keyboards, this software allows you to change the backlight colour. Unfortunately, the Edge doesn't have an RGB backlight. It's only white, which is fine, but here's where perhaps my criticism of this keyboard comes in, and that's that I wish they'd included either an RGB light or at least double shot keycaps with clear plastic for the legend. I think it would have created a really nice effect on this keyboard, lighting up the letters or the legend, similar to how the MacBook Pro keypad does. But on the flip side, the keycaps are standardized fittings, so you can swap the keypads out at leisure. It just might be a little bit difficult to get hold of a set that feels as well put together as the Lofree Edge cap set. Now, with the consideration that this is the thinnest mechanical keyboard that I've ever used, and it's made from premium materials like magnesium alloy and carbon fiber, it's a little bit pricier than less refined options, coming in currently at $149. Interestingly, it's available as a late backing purchase through Kickstarter at the moment, and was a bit cheaper during the campaign, which officially ended on the 25th of May, with just shy of 2,000 backers, raising nearly £300,000 to put this into full-scale production. I'll drop a link below to either the Kickstarter page or the listing on Lofree, whichever it's on at the moment, so you can check it out for yourselves. But with this level of support from people, I think it shows the sheer demand for an ultra-low profile mechanical keyboard, especially one that works with a Mac. And I'm going back to what I said here at the start. I think this is a perfect product to fill that demand. I'm a big fan of Lofree tech at the moment because they're making some superb standout peripherals with innovations and aesthetics that we just aren't getting from other brands without having to customize them ourselves. But most importantly, they work with Macs. I know not everyone watching this will have a Mac, but considering I worked for Apple for a decade, I think it's quite clear that I predominantly use Apple products from a day-to-day experience. And it's fantastic to see a peripheral company support its products on Mac OS, and in many cases supporting them by default. If you're looking for a mechanical replacement for your Magic Keyboard, then Lofree is a fantastic place to dip your toe in. And if you're looking for something mechanical, but as a profile almost as low as the Magic Keyboard, the Edge is possibly the closest I've seen to that dream. What do you guys think of the Lofree Edge? Do you think it's tempting to switch to a mechanical keyboard, or are you already using a mechanical keyboard? I'd love to hear your recommendations on what you're currently using, so do let me know in the comments below because I'd love to check them out. And whilst you're at it, let me know which bit of tech you'd like me to upgrade next on Ryan's desk. But if you enjoyed today's episode and it helped you make your mind up about the Lofree Edge, then make sure you hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.